Welcome back to another YouTube video. Today we're going to be talking about River Secrets by Shannon Hale, the third book in the Books of Baron series. River Secrets, the third book in the Books of Baron series, is, I'll show you the cover. It is raining, and they are on a dock, and this is Razzo, who is a friend of Annie and Ina, who are the other two main characters in the other two books. So that's Razzo, the man, and next to him is a girl named Dasha, who can control rain, or water, as she calls it. She can control water. She learned to speak the language of water, and so she can control it. On the back it says, Razzo flipped around. No one there but a dead body. He could hear his own breathing. Think, Razzo told himself. You're here to be useful. And then in the next part says, Razzo has never considered himself anything but ordinary, and certainly not a great soldier. So he's sure he's out of pity that his captain asks him to join an elite mission escorting the ambassador into Tira, Baron's greatest enemy. But when the Baron arrive in the strange southern country, it's Razzo who discovers the first dead body. He is also the only Baron able to befriend the right people, potential allies who can provide information about the ever-increasing murders, like the beautiful Lady Dasha. If Razzo can embrace his talents, he might be the only one who can get the Baron soldiers home alive. And a review says, rich in detail and lyrical in writing. And then there are the other books. So in this book, they're escorting the Baron ambassador into Tira. Tira has just had a huge war with Baron, and Baron won thanks to Ina, who can control fire. So Tira is their greatest enemy, basically. So they're escorting their ambassador in, and they're talking about, like negotiations, peace treaties, things like that. And Razzo gets invited to come. He's a member of the guard and from Baron, and he feels like he's out of place because he is not the best swordsman. He's a little bit shorter than everyone else and a little bit scrawnier, and he's not as strong as some of the other soldiers. So, for instance, when they tend to spar with the other Tyrian soldiers, he usually ends up getting beat and busted up. But he can beat anyone with a sling, which is unusual because, well, who thinks of slings as weapons? But he grew up in the forest, and in the forest you had to make your own weapons, and so he made slings out of horsehair and stuff because they didn't have guns at this time. So he would use his sling to hunt animals like foxes and rabbits and so on and so forth. So he is really accurate with the sling. He has a short sling and a long sling. The longer sling is for long distances, and the shorter sling is for shorter distances. And he is really accurate and really good, and he ends up beating the other soldiers in a slingshot race. Race, sort of more of an accurate pointing distance, like, how archers tend to fire at a target, same way with a sling. That's what they do. They do a contest to see who can hit the most points accurately, and Razzo hits them all, as well as a super, super far distance. They take a bucket and they walk it out really, really far, and he hits it dead on. Razzo is a lot different from other people because he considers himself lesser than other people, while at the same time he thinks he has a place in the world. He's just not sure why he's on this mission. But later on, his captain, Talone, who in the first book is Annie's captain of her guard, and later becomes captain of the Baron Guard, eventually ends up making Razzo a spy. And the reason is because Razzo tends to notice things that no one else notices. Like, Talone uses the example of who has ink-stained hands, and he says Garrick, as well as several other different things like that. So he notices people, and he notices certain things that nobody else notices. And Razzo makes the point, but you recognize those things, and he said, but I had to think long and hard, and you just seem to not have any effort to just remember these things. So Razzo becomes a spy, and he's there to spy and see who is trying to destroy. Negotiating with Baron, Tira, well, Tyr is negotiating with Baron, and Baron is negotiating with Tyr, and there are people, they keep finding these dead bodies. The problem is that, because Ina was a firebender, so to speak, people called them fire witches. In the last war, they're worried that the Baron will get blamed because they keep finding it near their barracks and near where the Baron is staying, and so it causes a great scuffle and a great issue for the Baron, and so it alone has Razo figuring out who it could be that's killing people, and who it is that wants them basically gone and to not be able to stay and make negotiations for peace treaty. So, again, we've got Kildenry, we've got Baron, and they're over here in Tira. And then here's the Rosewood Sea, and right now the Barons are in Tira, and they've traveled all the way from here to here, so they're quite a couple ways from home. And so Dasha is a red-haired girl, as you can see on this, or orange-haired, I guess you call it, orange. And he likes her, but she is the ambassador of, let me check real quick. Beginning of the story, it says, May I introduce Lady Dasha, Lord Belvin said, indicating a girl of about 16 years. Her father, Lord Kilcad, is Tyr's ambassador to Baron, and while he sojourns in your country, she has agreed to stay 1,000 years and act as a liaison to your people. Razo likes her because she's unique, she's different, and he just ends up falling for her. And during this time, he basically falls in love with her, but it takes her a while to realize it. So he flirts with her a couple times and kind of gets used to her, but she doesn't return his affection until later. Anyway, throughout the story, they fall in love and become good friends, and they end up finding out who it is that wants them dead, which is actually the captain who is hosting them while they're in Tira, and so Razo and Dasha almost die in the process of a fight while trying to ferret them out, and the reason there's so many dead bodies is because they're trying to learn how to control fire, but they end up burning themselves in the process, because you have to know how to do it, otherwise it doesn't work. And so the captain of the Tyrian Guard is named. His name is Liddell, and Tumnus is his best soldier. And so, anyway, it's Liddell who's behind the whole thing, and throughout the story there's betrayals, and so a girl tries to kill Razo, but she tries to poison him through a sweet tart that she gives him, but he isn't hungry, so he gives it to a dog, and the next day the dog is dead. Her name is Pila, and she ends up dying in the end because she can't keep her mouth shut, and it ends up getting her killed. In the end, it all turns out right, and they end up, I think, making a peace treaty. Oops. Coming to negotiations, and for the negotiations, Dasha, Finn, and Ina end up getting engaged and are set to be wed. In other words, they agreed to get married. And Razo and Dasha end up falling for each other more fully and flirt with each other more fully as well. I'll give you a hint of how they act. It's funny because Razo says this, no, you do too like him. I saw you with Victor, you with your smile and your nose all crinkly. She stopped short. My nose what? All crinkly. Your nose crinkles when you smile, especially big, when you're really pleased. He accused her with his glare. Then of all inexplicable things, her eyes began to tear. Did I say something? He rubbed his neck. I'm always saying something. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. You noticed my nose, she said with a small squeak. Razo had nothing to say. No one has ever observed that about me before, or never told me. It means you're noticing me. It means you care. Well, of course I care. Any dolt could see. Do you really? She placed both hands on his chest and looked up. So, and then basically kisses her. So they end up together, and it ends up turning out really well. And she ends up becoming the new ambassador for Bayern because she wants to spend more time in Bayern and with Razzo. And so they talk and they'd say, "It'd be best if your guard was a fellow who knew Bayern pretty well. We could spend summer and autumn in Bayern, winter and spring in Tira. Home in time for the tangerine blossoms," said Razzo. Home. He had meant Tira. He smiled again. She sat facing him, her hand on his knee, her eyes holding his gaze. He felt no need to look away. So, because she's a lady, you know, like, the question of royalty, but they don't really care about that. So they end up falling in love, the secrets get uncovered, and everything turns out alright in the end. Finn and Nina get engaged, and Razzo and Dasha are furthering their relationship. So it all turns out right in the end, but it's a really good book, well written, lots of plots, definitely recommend it. And the next book is the final one in the series, and after that I will talk about all of the series overall as a whole and how the story progresses over time. But that's River Secrets by Shannon Hale, and I tried to make this video more brief than the other ones because my other ones were quite long. But if you have any questions, let me know and I'll answer them. If I missed something, let me know. But really good series, really good books. Bye.